Oh,
All right. All right, sign committee meeting is started. Yay. How do we want to,
Which one do you want to start with? George's? We're gonna name each one. The one at the Civil War Monument, because Michael did get some feedback.
oh, you did?
I sent you the email from Mass DOT.
Oh,
That-
right. It's-
just
she's
that-
On vacation.
She's on vacation. She'll get back to me about the actual process. I know he did state that he didn't think it would, but we'll go through the process. But
Right, and
So
maybe
there's an
she,
application process.
there is, yes.
and then maybe she could come down and we could have a site visit with her.
Yeah.
And then I printed this out, but, approval of access to Mass Department of Transportation Highways and other diversity, that whole thing, but I haven't read it yet. I have to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I've had other things to read.
Well, the problem is we already have the signs designed. A lot of times
Right,
you would have gone the other way first. If
Yeah.
that was the location we were doing, we would have gotten them the proposed design and then had them adjusted. The problem is, it has to go in as is.
so, do we want to discuss this or wait till she comes back and postpone this one and go to another one? And then have another meeting? What is your thought?
I think we could come up with other suggestions in case this one fails,
Okay,
don't you think? Plus, my question too is like the location of it. Trees would have to come down.
well, Hugh said that
No, we don't think trees will have to come down.
he
The
thought
birch
these
trees?
the birch tree
They
and this
might.
other tree are kind of scrubby and he thought they should come down anyway.
Then I
But-
could see it fitting.
So
Right.
that's,
If not,
We're
it's
gonna have
not.
to have tree hearings about that
yeah.
because these are not dead trees.
And of course, we already heard Kate Fletcher say she didn't want them down.
So I think there's enough room, but how do we,
Incorporate the
the
other,
problem we're gonna have here, the main thing is the caution and the split sign. They're gonna require, well, there's three of them. If they're gonna require all three of those, how are those gonna, because if you leave them, they're gonna be in front of our sign.
Because
So-
there's not enough space to fit our
Right,
signs in
so-
between.
Right, so can we somehow incorporate these in, that's gonna be once I can talk to the person about it, but those will probably be the biggest concerns.
and then the panels on them too. It would be just one-sided,
Right,
right?
I think you
So
could
you
probably
could paint
just,
the other side.
or just leave it, it's, no one's gonna see it, because
Okay.
it's gonna be facing trees
Okay,
and that. We probably could with it just a green paint color in the gold, yeah.
Um,
I mean, unless we're gonna talk about another location,
yeah,
I think this is the location we want to find out
right.
if it's even available, and we're not gonna be able to know until we can get an application in. So,
So I was trying to think of another location, and then when I brought up the map to see what's ours and not state property, I was wondering if we would, if this fails, explore anywhere from, what's the road next to Berkshire Theater Festival on down.
oh, East
So then
Main
we would
Street.
have one on each side. You'd have the one
problem I'm gonna tell you is
That's.
the biggest issue we're gonna have is
sightline issues.
sightline, well, and
trees.
now the font issue.
Yes.
And that's also State Highway 102.
No, it would be from
Route 7.
Yale Hill to, this intersection is actually town. Or Vine Street to here.
Yeah, so this is State Highway up here. So from Vine Street
Yeah.
down is ours.
So the only things that I was looking at too is now that we have the no parking spaces, you might not have as much of a sightline issue because the people, depending on if we could find, I just want to explore it.
Well, it's on the wrong side of the road.
Well,
If you're driving and see signs like that, they either need to be in a middle aisle or on the side of the road that you're trying to get directions. So if it's on 102 coming in,
right,
you need it on the
right-hand side.
Right.
So that's what I'm
right-hand side,
talking about,
and there
across
are
the street.
terrible sight lines
I
in
know,
that area. We are,
but I thought we'd just take a look.
and then because that speed limit up until there is 35, you're talking, I believe, 11-inch font, which is almost, that's the same height as this paper.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Right, so I think we gotta deal
What's
with
our main street? Mileage.
25?
25, but the 25 has to be in the font. That's why the 25 is that big. So they have standard signs for those across the country, and that's why you see them.
So 25 speed limit has to be that big?
No, the one I looked up was 40 miles an hour is
40.
a 13-inch. I believe 35 was an 11-inch. And then below that, so, you know,
Because if we did something going on this side of the road, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work.
On this side?
Yeah. Because then, like say if we had something here, which wouldn't be appropriate spot for it, it's only directing people Botanical Gardens and Tanglewood on this way. And then the opposite way, you'd have to look across the street for it. So I didn't see that happening.
So there's like kind of flat.
See,
It's kind of a little sidewalk home up.
this. It's not flat. And it just wouldn't really work.
Right?
So I did an X on
it'd
it.
only be people heading toward Lee that would be
Yeah.
able to see it, and you're only gonna direct them.
On this side, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then if you did it on the other side,
The sight lines.
Sight lines are gonna be, and the trees are a big
Remember,
issue, but
we
the
had
other
to-
side was here, was the only thing I could think of. But then I was looking at, as you walk down to the information booth, there are a few areas that the green is back far enough that if somebody pulled out, they still have to pull out in order to, into this area, in order to look both ways, and the sign would be over here.
The problem is you're trying to direct people to read signs in
I
an
know.
area where there's crosswalks.
Yes, I know.
Traffic, and the other locations in town are gonna require font sizes that are way too large
what
for those type of signs.
about near the information booth?
So the information booth. Did I take a picture of that across the street from it?
I'm gonna tell you, with the trees and the rest, I think it's too congested.
The
for
information,
Vehicles. Now, this.
No, this would-
Are you putting these signs up for vehicle traffic or for pedestrian traffic? I think we have to clarify what these are targeting.
they're originally were for vehicle.
All right,
And two of the locations had stop signs, so it was a little bit okay. But if we're doing it for traveling. So then, okay, say none of these places work. If we wanted to do it for pedestrian, I personally feel the sign's too big to put near the information booth. Because they were designs for vehicles. Like I'd rather see the Elm Street size sign, type of thing near the information booth, because it's small. That's more pedestrian walking. So had a thought, because we talked about the town offices, because when Michael and I talked about this last year, I said, well, maybe we could put these in a park, for directions of what to do with the park. But, so it's still there. The front lawn of the town office it's beautiful. The entrance is beautiful. You have the signs on each side, but I was wondering that area where the cherry tree is over next to
The driveway?
Yeah. this cherry tree should just come down because it's not doing well. And there's a little area here where the gym entrance is. I always call it that side.
Yep.
So it has some trees, it has then the evergreen trees. I was wondering, and then you're talking about removing your flagpole too, right?
flagpole's gonna go just more to it's still gonna be on this side, but it's gonna be away from that tree, because we keep getting hung up with the tree.
Because
So it's gonna move, it's
thinking,
only gonna move about 20 feet toward the main walkway,
okay,
but the same height pole, the same everything. Yeah.
because that area is kind of, I was thinking just thinking that if we had it as, again, it would be pedestrian, but people would see it, have it like tucked here, Stockbridge, home of, you know, Norman Rockwell Museum, Tanglewood, blah, blah, blah. And then I was thinking if the pole was moving, it'd be nice with the pole there. And then in the wintertime, I honestly think those little green trees could be decorated as well. And maybe put a park bench in that area. It doesn't take away from the look of the front of the town office
Why are
entrance.
we, all right. It seems like we're designing, these are municipal directional signs,
Right.
park benches up. Where are the sign? Because if
Well,
you're
I know,
right
'cause
there,
they're-
the sign should not be facing where people in cars are trying to look at a sign. It should now be turned.
Yes,
So it's really for just pedestrians walking.
correct,
All right,
correct.
so,
Similar to
obviously
what Patrick was
pedestrians-
suggesting at the Park Street
Right.
Park,
yeah,
but instead of Park Street here.
right.
It's an idea. I'm just trying
Yeah.
to explore.
I think that works because then even your fonts don't matter
Correct.
because now it's pedestrian. So,
And you could keep the same height because the front of the town hall actually, because of the hill, it works. It's just another thought. And it's seen a little bit more than probably Park Street would be seen.
but if we put the Park Street one down on Park Street and put Ice Glen and change
Yes.
it to that.
Yes.
Once again, that's a 25 mile an hour. It's slower and for people using the park, they can see where Ice Glen is and other stuff.
Yes.
Or if you just put the home of without directional and just put all the various things underneath it.
So I think we should do site visit, well, we can go outside for this one, but at those two locations,
For this location and the park down
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
So,
Because it's kind of sounding like we're not gonna, if the Rockefeller tree location, isn't that what Kate called it?
yeah.
Isn't gonna work. And there's no other place to have it work.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a question. I do have a question with the cemetery one too now. The font is still too small, especially once it goes. So what font are you going to put on there?
So,
Because the appropriate font size is, I believe, 11 inches for that one.
so I was talking with, Pixley yesterday. And she said she has signs that she did out at the Mass Pike that the font's about this. But I said, I said, the one in the cemetery, the chamber feels that we put money aside to change the font. We have extra panels, so you can make the panels bigger to
Right.
make the font bigger.
I'd like to know where could you give us examples of signs? If
Yeah.
there's signs on the Mass Pike that have that, I'm sorry, you can't read a sign like that. There's no way.
I was trying to figure
I would
out
like
what
to
she
know
was
where-
talking about. There's the little signs, welcome to the Berkshires. Isn't that still on the
I
pike?
don't know, I haven't been on the Mass Pike in
I
a long
know.
time.
But
Yeah.
that one at the cemetery is doable to change the
The
font
reason why
size.
I'm asking is Mass Pike don't put up sign like that. Their informational signs are blue and white and they're by the uniform
says
traffic code.
Jacobs.
So I'm not sure why, you know. I'd have to take a look at that. I'd be curious. And the main thing is just the speed of a car, and especially because we're not talking about one thing like Lee with an arrow. We're talking a sign with what? 6. How is somebody supposed to read that sign while driving?
No,
The fonts need to be fixed on the
Yes.
cemetery one.
yes. And the chamber is willing
Right.
to change the fonts
Right.
on that one, and maybe we're gonna have to increase the panel size so that we have a 4-inch. Because right now it's 2-inch, and maybe it can only be one line, not,
Right, and it doesn't need to have the mileage.
and
on
it doesn't
there.
need to have the
Right.
mileage on it. And we can just do, like an arrow like this, which was our original design. Didn't have mileage. It was Patrick that said that we should have mileage on it.
Yeah, we don't need.
So then that made it even wider, the sign, because
Right,
width of the panels.
All right, so we fixed the font on that one.
Yep.
That one's done. Okay. And it's still, in the end, it's just a municipal directional sign.
Yes, that one
It's
is.
just,
right. So then, in the meantime, do we ask Hugh to take down that, duplicate for Chesterwood.
They're down.
Oh, they are? I haven't been down there. What did he do with the signs? I was thinking we should give them to,
You should give
The
it that.
entity.
I'll make sure, I'll reach out to you, make sure he drops them off to the entities and they.
I was
they
thinking
love
about that
Yeah.
too. Okay, all right. I haven't been down there, so I. Okay, so that's,
So that one's done. Off our thing, you're gonna get larger fonts, as large as you can make them
Mhm.
to. You know, and you just need for that one, you do need the directional arrow,
Yeah,
but, yeah. So, but not the mileage. So, all right, that one's taken care of.
I would like to know though, if we are able to put it where the cat and dog fountain on the opposite side, is the town, because that falls, right? The town's gonna be paying for the change of that. Does that font need to be increased? Because we'd like to have the fonts around the same.
I think you're gonna have to base it on the speed of the area. I think that those two could be similar.
Okay,
Yeah, because that's slow when you come up into there. If they're
Right.
gonna allow it there, you know, it's 25. It changes to 25 right at the curve before there. So you're pretty much safe where it's 25.
okay.
It's when you get up into the 35, 40 and 50, that signs become an issue with people being able to read.
I mean, do you like the idea of the park for out front? I mean,
yeah, if we can't do it on the island, I kind of like it here where it's more visible than down there.
Yeah.
Where it's only gonna target not everybody.
and it still advertises what we have to offer in Stockbridge.
Yeah.
I couldn't see how you could put it
On the
together with the
first
town
line, like-
offices signs.
Home of.
Yes.
And then, yeah, well, we don't want to, if you put too much, I want like police, you know,
The police and
town offices, police that.
and restrooms.
Right, we don't want to, because if you fill it up too much, people don't read
Yeah,
signs.
and,
that, so.
and you don't need the chamber, you don't need the,
So put one flat home of and
Yeah.
then just list underneath. I think that's yeah.
okay.
And anybody walking by can read about all the things. I think would look pretty right
And
there.
it's,
Yeah,
If we're
and you
gonna
don't have
remove
to
it-
make it smaller.
Right.
It works at that distance.
And if it's square to the sidewalk.
Yeah.
But do we have to take out that tree? It's still a live tree. It's, so if we're
I don't know,
gonna,
we were looking at it even when Peter was the tree warden, questioning if it was doing well or not. We'd have to look.
it's fall, no, doing well is not, that has nothing to do with tree regulations. It's a live living tree.
You might not have to.
It has to have a tree hearing, take it down.
Maybe it
unless
can
it's
just be
diseased
trimmed.
or dead. It can be trimmed, yeah, that can happen. But if we want to remove the
You
tree,
know?
we had to hold the tree hearing for the beach and we held the tree hearings for the Park Street when we took
Okay.
out trees. So if you take out living trees that aren't
Okay.
diseased or dead, you have to have a tree warden.
Okay.
The tree warden can't order it taken down. So,
Okay.
well, maybe we could just get it trimmed and
yeah.
leave it
And
there.
don't get me wrong, if we want to recommend taking it out and putting a sign there, I have no.
Well, it
problem.
wouldn't
It's
go
just
where the tree.
We have another
didn't want to
step to
block
take
it.
that we'd have to hold a tree.
Right,
It wouldn't go where the tree is, it'd go over where the group of trees are, so I just didn't want that tree to block the view.
Right.
But if it's trimmed,
Or removed. Like,
Okay.
we shouldn't be afraid of holding a hearing.
Okay.
Because if no one shows up and no one cares about that tree, then we take it out. I don't know if there's, you know, how people would feel about it.
yeah,
you know.
because who knows, it could be a tree that was
Yeah.
planted for
You
something.
mark it,
we
you
know.
put a notice, you mark it, and then it has, I think it's 2 weeks, yeah, it has to be marked with a ribbon, and then you hold your hearing, and unless there's complaints that they want to keep the tree, you take the tree down.
Okay,
we can check that out.
okay.
When we do the site visits, right, whether we recommend removing trees and that.
Then this one's gonna be a big issue with the font size too.
Yeah. So, yeah, so where I was proposing it, it would have to be, what did you say, 16 inches or something?
Which
On
one?
183, when it's 40 miles an hour?
13 inches.
Yeah, 13 inches,
There's no way we can do that.
right.
I mean, when I was talking with Heather yesterday, the only thing she said is if we did a full panel without the slots. Maybe, but I just don't see,
So I had a thought afterwards, after you said that about 13 inches and everything. And then of course we still have to go through the people who objected about the view of Gould Meadows. But down closer to the parking lot of Gould Meadows on 183, that's a large parking lot. And there are trees there. But if somebody was to go to the parking lot of Gould Meadows,
And it becomes a pedestrian sign.
then they could see it,
I don't.
but would it block the view?
How about, do we want to think, most time directional signs are in your downtown, not on your outskirt roads because the speed limits are faster. So they're usually in, it's funny, my daughter's, I noticed when we went this weekend to Cobblestill, you drive in and one end, they have a big sign with the thing, but it's on an island on the, where it's 25 and there's a stop sign. So you stop on the signs. You can see it this way, but it's not blocking your sight lines and it's, yeah. And I was like, oh, but we don't have a nice, actually, where we're proposing, I think is the right place by the, if the state will let us, by the red line.
Yeah,
So do we think about putting the Gould Meadow one in front of town hall?
If,
The
yes.
one from the soldiers down in front of the cat and dog,
Mhm.
and then the cemetery just stay where it is with a larger font.
That works,
yeah,
because it's too fast here. And even if we had it here across the street,
yeah.
you know, here, you're stopping looking at the sign.
Well,
But
even
then
you
you-
might not see it if I was doing it perpendicular rather than
Right.
that way.
But then you'd have to have a sign, because then if you did it that way, you're directing everybody to go 183 and 102 into town. And so then you'd have to have a sign like in the area of the botanical gardens before you get to it, like say here, that would tell people to go straight
Yeah.
or left.
I kind of like that idea about taking Gould Meadows and putting it down here, if
Yeah.
we can move the other one to the island.
I'm good.
I like those ideas.
All right.
Now, who pays for these? To
Well,
be done
Hughes
and
said he-
then,
We're gonna have Hugh pull them and move them. So,
well, you gotta do the redo of the panels.
well, the redoing of the panels is gonna, yeah, we'll have to figure it out.
Okay, because I didn't know if, you have to wait
You're
for next
changing, you already
budget.
had money to change the font size, that's
Only-
redoing the panels, because they're all gonna be
Only
redone.
at the cemetery one, because
Okay.
the other ones were at stop sign.
Right.
So we didn't think that we would need to do that.
Yeah. Well, I actually don't know if we're gonna have, well, we gotta take out I think the direction arrows in the mileage works on the one that's in front of the soldiers, if it can come
Yes, that's
in front of
perfectly
the other,
fine.
because it's 25 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I'm not as worried about the font size, because people are slow. I don't see that, somebody said that's dangerous. I don't see that.
I
you
don't
know.
see it either.
Yeah, I've never driven through there and felt like it was. It's a little down by the gas station, people fly over that, but once you start coming up.
Right, even though it says 35 on that, right before the gas station,
Right,
and then it gets up to 25. People have to slow down,
right, they have to slow down. And
otherwise they're gonna end
Yeah.
up in the red line in like that.
we'll figure it out and if
Okay.
we need to.
Because I didn't know if it would have to come
Finance
out of.
Committee for a reserve
Yeah,
as an
for a reserve fund
unexpected.
transfer. Why
Is it-
not? I'll support that.
And if we can get it done in this year, we
Yeah.
can. So, yeah. All right,
Sound good to
that
everybody?
sounds like,
Sounds good to
it
me.
sounds like we have a plan. Now
Yeah,
the only question is, will the state let us?
Right,
yeah.
On that? Which the main thing I want to know from her is how long will it take you to review an access permit? Are we?
Right.
But, you know,
right.
and then what I'll do is as soon as I find out from them how long it'll take, I think we schedule our next meeting for when they can tell us whether they'll let us.
Right,
Cause I already I'll just send the picture, show what the time is, here's where we'd like to place it, blah, blah, blah. You know, and then we'll gladly incorporate their directional signs into it so that, yeah.
yeah, and you could say to them, well, we do maintain that island, you
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was the person that you wrote to? And initially? Who was that?
Mark
gentleman?
Moore.
Mark Moore, he's the engineer at Mass DOT 1, because I wasn't sure
Oh.
who, but I knew he would direct it to
Yeah, 'cause
whoever.
when I saw the comment, I was thinking the same thing. At least we have a cat and dog hunt on it.
Yeah, people slow down to look at, I don't, with the red line, yeah, to me, that makes the most sense if they'll let us.
Right.
There.
Good,
Good.
super.
We have a plan.
Yeah. So I see Patrick has a new job.
Yes. Yep.
Southern Berkshire Ambulance. CFO.
Oh,
Not a new
Part-time.
job, another job,
Another
another
job.
part-time job.
Another part-time job. Yes, right.
we stopped recording?
Are we good? Is there anything else, right? Anything else sign committee
Sign
related?
committee. Oh, that's right. We're still on. Not that I can think of. I like his ideas.
Okay.
All right, good. We got some decent ideas and now we just need to know, like I said, as soon as I hear from them, how long, I can get an application in the same day they tell me, if she's back Monday and sends me what I need to do for permitting, I'll have it in within a day. But then I'll ask her, how long will it take you guys
Can
to
you
review
share
it?
that application with us
I don't see why not, yeah.
so we can see what it says?
Yep.
Oh, I do have one more thing. When I was talking with Heather about the signs, she said that she felt that you would be able to move it, but she felt that you have to unassemble the sign in order to move it to another location. And I didn't know if you would want to work with her or just ask her a couple questions. Because she's telling me that it's not just something you can pick up out of the ground. I don't know. I know it was a difficult install,
Yeah.
but I can't imagine as difficult to uninstall it.
I know as far as mechanical millwright stuff, I trust you that
Okay.
he'll know. He's moved much bigger things.
And if the slats come out,
It's only the connection at the top.
Right.
The top one's connected, then the
Right.
slats are removable. But the top is, so it's cemented in up and then the top part is all bolted together. So I don't see why you just don't take that middle part off, take the two legs off and then reset them. And I know Hugh said he could reset them. So they'll pull them up with the cement in them, reset them, and
Oh,
it
okay.
means you're digging a bigger hole because
Right.
you're not gonna cut them off. He's gonna have to lift them out with the cement in the ground,
Okay.
dig bigger holes, put them in and then fill them back in. So, yeah, but you can move, yeah. I know he can do it. It's just, yeah. And if he has any questions, I'm sure he'll reach out to her, but he'll go over and just look at it and go, I'll remove this, and bam.
So until a decision is completely made, I'm not gonna move forward with changing the font size because we want them to work together.
Right, I would,
Okay.
right, if we're gonna adjust, we should just send them all to her to
Okay.
adjust. And obviously, we have a little bit of weight here because we need Mass DOT to tell us if
Right.
our preferred option here is
right?
that. And I don't think it distracts from the cat or anything else.
No, it
You're
doesn't,
only
because you're not
seeing
gonna see it
trees.
from the front of the cat.
Right, and even in the winter when it's lit up, it's going to have our signage and then lit up above.
Right,
And actually, I was thinking that if we can, it might be a good location for a solar light to shine on it. We might even want to think about that at all the locations.
Yes.
So put a ground mounted solar with it shining up or, sorry.
Or
right
off the
down.
top.
Yeah, and down on, you angle it into the sign.
I'd
So
like
then they're
something
lit
like
up.
that on the Elm Street sign would be nice
All
too.
right.
It's just
Well, we want to.
very dark.
We want to put one at the, because the power's been disconnected to the chime tower and that's the sign out front. So we're going to take those lights off and we're going to put a solar light
Okay.
on the one.
so
that's-
those lights were done by the Congregational Church.
All right. Yeah, they were the ones that called and complained that, oh, there's no electricity. Okay.
They don't have any electricity there now.
Yeah, now there isn't. There's only solar. And that's what we're going through with all of our flagpoles. Like when we move the flagpole over here, we're going to take out the lights that are in the ground and all the new flagpoles come with a solar disc on the top. And then it shines light onto the flag from the top.
Where's it gonna go? Closer to the entrance?
About, if this is town hall and the walking's here,
Mhm.
it's over here, we're just moving it about 20 feet
Yep.
to the right.
Yeah, there's actually more land right.
Oh,
there,
there's a
too.
lot of land
Yeah.
there and it's not even in the trees at all. But right now, every time we put it to half mast, the flag was getting stuck in
Yeah, I saw
in
that.
the thing and yeah,
Do you know when that's gonna happen?
if it gets approved at town meeting, plus the pole
No,
itself,
I'm
the rope
asking.
broken sign and the whole pole needs to be replaced. So, no, that it won't happen the weekend. It's literally gonna happen in probably a 2-day period. And it won't happen on your,
No, I have to map out.
it won't happen on your thing.
Okay,
It could happen before.
before, so that's when why I was asking, because then I have to map out where the people.
It could.
Okay.
You're not gonna know, sorry. You have to just improvise. Because the main cost on that one, why it's gonna be so expensive is you have to have a crane.
Oh,
Because when you get up to 50 feet, Hugh can't do that. And the company said you have to bring a boom crane in to set it.
is that the original flagpole from the school?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I have.
I think
Thank you,
this is good.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pleased.
Good. Compromise. We found a nice
Yeah.
middle
Yep.
ground.
Yep.
Yep.
Super.
We'll try to convince the state to do this.
Great.
I've seen them before. I've seen in towns when you come into
Right.
downtowns where there's islands and there's something like this. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Like,
But I think the only sign that they have to have by the Mass DOT code is the keep right sign. I know they have the other one. I don't know if you have to have all those. Because I know at the other island, we just have to keep right sign.
yep,
And I believe you're only.
Do they
required
have
either
one across the
It's either
street?
keep right written out or you do the island with the arrows, showing the arrow on the side. But they have both there and a caution one. I don't know why we need a caution. Yeah. I'm gonna ask them if they can minimize the
well,
signs
because
that are
there's,
there.
it says they have another one there that says keep right.
Keep
If you
right.
Look at the picture.
Yeah.
Down below. So it's
Yeah.
really, they are duplicating.
Right, that's why.
Right, they have a-
If they're duplicated, then there's a caution one. And I don't know why
And
they,
then farther down, it says keep right.
On
Another
the,
side.
on the other side, right?
yeah. There's a lot of signage there that seems to be saying the same thing.
Right.
Yeah,
As you're coming into town.
right,
Mhm.
Yeah. Right lane must
See
turn right,
there,
right. But where was the other one even at the island itself?
right here.
right here.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then
there's-
another one across here.
Right, so you have this one, right, lane
Yes.
must turn right, but then you have this one and the keep right one.
Yeah,
And then you
And then
you
you
have
have
a
it-
caution, but you have the caution in yellow in front.
right.
And then
That
you have
just
another
seems-
one down here.
Where else
Yeah,
on an
so
island?
they can
I've
take
never
those
seen.
out.
Right, well, I think you have to have,
One
this
on
is a
each
right
side.
lane only. I think they either have to have this one
Sorry,
or
I'm
this
turning my
one.
phone.
But I don't think they have to have the others. At an island, you're supposed to have. And we have one up at the other island. So I'm gonna ask.
As
them
I
if
was
they can
dangerously
remove-
driving and taking pictures. So I was
Boy,
coming
it's
into
weird that
town.
they have three, the keep right, the one with the island showing the right, and a caution, and then they have caution.
Right.
It's like, it just seems like there's a.
Yeah, no, and there's
redundant
nothing
sign.
else except for the DOT signs. And originally, just as an aside, because when we were talking about Botanical Garden intersection, I did not, when I went around, I looked at where the Mass DOT signs were. And I did not feel we should have a sign where the Mass DOT signs are. So
Right.
there are Mass DOT signs here, but there's at the intersection 183 and 102 to go to Rockwell Museum, Chesterwood.
Right, and those are those
Englewood.
blue and white ones,
Yes.
which are standard uniform
Yes.
traffic code signs.
So this is Seven Salon.
Oh, that's Seven Salon. Okay, yeah. And there used to be a flashing light here.
Oh,
That's not lights weren't allowed in stuff.
as
Well,
you,
I mean, a cautious light.
Caution, yeah.
yeah, I don't see any other
I'm
sign.
waiting for people to push us on the, everybody's starting to put them in the crosswalk ones, that flash. When
Oh,
people
yeah.
going across,
I thought that's what we were putting in.
yeah. I know a lot, like Williamstown. Oh, you
Does
drive,
it?
oh, they have like, with the college and that main.
Yeah,
There's probably 10, and they're all the flashing as people get close, and it's just,
and it's such a beautiful.
yeah.
Hmm.
But you get a kid getting hit and then everybody,
Right.
let alone that everybody knows they walk right out in front of you. They don't even hesitate. Yeah. But I will ask them if we can minimize the amount of signs on that island down to just one keep right sign.
Right.
And that, and if they can, then we could easily incorporate that into ours or even put it off like on the side of it or
Uh-huh.
something to minimize. the
Yeah, because
island.
you could still see our sign really good, but with their sign to the right of it,
Yeah,
to keep right or
and
whatever.
if they won't work, and we could go back far enough, but we'd have to take out trees to get to our property to put the sign, and then you're close to the cat, and yeah, that's not gonna fly. So
Yeah.
we need it on their piece.
Right.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right,
All right. Motion to adjourn?
so move.
Yes, Madam Chairman.